Welcome along to the Army List Analysis series, and we continue on. Today we're looking at the Graeco-Bactrian 250 BC list. As we go on, we've done the standard armies, we've done a lot of the Roman armies, Carthaginian armies, a lot of the Pike armies, so now we're getting to the kind of weird and wacky armies now. And this is quite an interesting, weird kind of army. Now you can take infantry. I've just decided to go cav heavy and light horse archer heavy. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I haven't taken this army out, but I do notice that a few players have taken this army out in the league, and they're doing quite well. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So maybe if you want to play with a mix, maybe we'll look at it a little bit later and see if we can mix it up. But probably, to be honest, I think I like this mix of armoured noble lancers. We've got 6 cataphracts. Let's zoom in a bit. We're going to zoom in a little bit more. I haven't been zooming so much in the last few videos. So look at these guys. So they are superior fully armoured lancers, and they're going to be key to winning the battle. Now, I've been pretty critical, and maybe I'm still fairly critical of cataphracts. I don't think they do quite as well as they could or maybe should in classical, but I have been number crunching just for you. Number crunching, and I was looking at the stats. In a nutshell, cataphract in the classical era, the impact for cataphracts against infantry isn't that great, really. I was going through it. Warband, they're only 50 up on impact. Imitation Legionnaire, they're only 50 up on impact. Evens against superior warband, 25 up against Astati, evens against legionnaires, and then they're 50 down against veteran spear on impact, and they're 100 down against pikes on impact. So that isn't that great for superior fully armored lancers. It's not great, is it, really? And okay, 50 up, but often 50 up on a unit doesn't translate into disruptions. They did actually do quite a bit better in melee against infantry than I was expecting. I thought it would be more impact, but actually against hoplites, which they're actually evens, there's no advantage on impact. They're 100 up in melee against hoplites. They're 150 up in melee against warband, 150 up against imitation legionnaires in melee, evens against pike, 100 up against superior warband, 125 up against Astati, and even veteran spear, they're 50 up. So actually they do quite well in melee, and that's because of their armor. The armor kicks in melee, if you remember, not on impact. So that's when they really get an advantage. So they're not terrible, but they're quite a bit better than the armored noble lancers. I mean, there's only 4 points difference, and yet the armored noble lancers, they I don't know, one example, in melee these guys are up 150 against warband in melee, whereas the armored noble lancers are half that. They're only 75 up in melee. Against hoplites, I said they were 100 up in melee, and they're 25 down. So they are actually, I didn't realize there's such a big difference. It really is. They're only in melee, they're only 25 up against superior warband. Cataphracts are 100 up. So really big difference. So in my original build, when I was messing around with this list, I had some more of the armoured noble lancers and I think I had about 3 cataphracts, but after doing my number crunching and testing, I realized these are a lot better than the armored noble lancers. And the armored noble lancers on impact against most infantry, it's evens or 50 up, apart from pikes. They're 50 up against imitation legionnaires, 50 up against warband, evens against superior warband on impact, 50 down against veteran spear. So fairly similar on impact to cataphracts, but it's in melee that there's a really, really big difference. We've got a nice mix of light horse archers. I think I've maxed. Yeah, I've got 8, so that's a nice number. I've also got the nomad light horse archers, so you know you're going to cause a lot of trouble with all these light horse units. Plus we've got 6 foot skirmishers. Plus we've got 2 javelin horse. So there's not going to be many armies that are going to beat you with cavalry. You could probably destroy the enemy cavalry and then concentrate on the infantry perhaps. These elephants as well will also be very helpful. It's a bit like the Indian armies. I mean, these elephants, their impact is, you know, they're about 150 up against a lot of infantry units. Is it? Yeah, 150 against hoplites, 150, warband 150, imitation legionnaires 150, even pikes, they're 50 up. So yeah, a good amount of bonus on the POA on impact. So you're always, it's just the roll of the dice. I mean, if they do well, if they can disrupt 2 or 3 infantry units, that can really help you win the battle. So a lot will maybe rest on, I would suggest, on the elephants and the cataphracts in this army. So that's why I've maxed them out. But that's not to say this is the way to go. I was mentioning before that a couple of players have taken this army out, and I've been very, very surprised by some of the results. There's 2 players. There's Ray in Division C. Ray 552 is his username, and he's just beaten the Spartan 221 list with Roman allies, which is a really good list. And he won 40-8. So he did something right. Maybe we can get him on, or Luna Fox is the other player in Division F. He's just beaten the Roman 199 list, which is a fantastic army. I covered that early on in my videos, and that's one of the best armies in the league. And it was a closer one. That was 64-43. But I mean, to manage to beat the Romans would be great to hear from him. So those are 2 really, really good results. And at the moment, Ray is, I think he's top of Division C in the classical period. I think he's got 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. And Luna Fox is on 3 wins and 2 losses. So they're doing really well with this army. So they're doing something right. Are they using more infantry? Let's see if I can find out, and I'll let you know. Okay, would I swap things around? Probably not that much, but I was messing around a little bit. If we took out an elephant, and if we took out 2 cataphracts, gives us a load of points to 11, we could perhaps add 2 pike units and 2 irregular foot I went with. Okay, but is that really worth it? 2 cataphracts and an elephant for just 2 pikes and 2 irregular foot? Probably not. Probably not, because elephants and cataphracts are pretty decent units. So I would get rid of the pikes maybe, and if it was a lot of rough ground, like, you know, there's a fair bit of rough ground here. If I wanted to occupy a certain part of the battlefield with infantry while my cav did the business, then maybe I would probably go more with maybe some irregular foot. And yeah, so we've for it's a regular. So for 2 cataphracts and 1 elephant, you can actually take javelin horse. We've got 6 units. Now that's a better exchange because they're decent, as I said. Elephants and cataphracts are decent units. So really, I want numbers for that. That first exchange with the pikes, I don't think it was worth doing it for 2 pikes and 2 irregular. So now we've got 6 units. We've got, and these units are fairly good, because they're offensive spear, even though they're medium foot. So they do quite well again, even in the open sometimes against heavy foot. But they can also occupy the rough ground. And we've got another javelin horse here. So maybe, for some players and for certain maps, you might want some extra infantry. So, pros and cons. It would be nice, I think. I noticed we don't have any massed archers. It would be nice to have, it'd be great if like this kind of map, maybe if I wanted to put some massed archers here, in rough ground in the woods with a few skirmishes and then bring my cav around, pivot. That might be really handy if I could have some massed archers, but we don't have any of those. Just skirmishes, and we're limited to 6-foot skirmishes. So it's one, but it's not a huge issue. But I think it would be nice if we had some massed archers. But we've got some really good units. We've got a nice mix of cavalry. Cataphracts are decent. Backed up with loads of horse archers. That's going to be great. There's not going to be many armies that are going to be able to beat you with cav. You can use the light horse archers as your shield, disrupt any enemy units before contact, and then you go in. And these elephants as well. There's hardly any armies that allow you to take 3 elephants, 6 cataphracts, and all these light horse archers. It's a pretty unique combo, really. So, yeah, that could be a big plus for this army. All the skirmishing ability of the light horse, impact with the cataphracts, and then the kind of double impact from the elephants. Yeah, so it could be good. Rating, it's going to be quite difficult, but after looking at the recent results in the league, and also the little study that I did of cataphracts, they actually seem a bit better than what I expected, especially in melee. So I'm going to move it up a little bit to about a B-. I'm not going to give it a B+, because you're completely relying on your cavalry to get you the win, really. How well the cataphracts and the elephants do is going to be key. And they can be hit and miss. Sometimes elephants get stuck against infantry, and I've seen the same happen to cataphracts as well. So, it's all going to be on those kind of units. And yeah, you can, and when I showed you a few options, you can take infantry, but is it really worth taking 5 infantry out? Taking pikes at 72, considering the good cav and light horse archers you can take. So probably it's not really a balanced army. It's more of for me anyway, it's more of a cavalry army, mass cavalry army. So that's why you're limited in how you can play the game. And even this kind of map, look, there's so much woodland and rough ground. It's actually going to be quite hard to use your cav. So I think to a certain extent, or a large extent, your results are going, and performances are going to be quite reliant on the map as well. So yeah, about a B- from me. If you've played with this army before, let me know. You know how it was, what you did. Maybe you did take out infantry. Let us know how you played with it. If you played against this army, also let us know what happened. Okay, that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you again soon.